All right, here we go. Late start. We delayed it to make sure maybe Adam Hill will be available, but also the fact that Vegas Golden Knights game was going a little bit long. Justin Watkins is here. Probably mostly hockey talk tonight. I got a couple of videos to play for you to react to, and we want to find out where Kwame Brown can legally fight people, beat the shit out of them, and not get in trouble. So maybe some combat zones, something like that. So Golden Knights win. Justin and I were texting back and forth about when we were going to start tonight, and I don't know, it was probably must have been 16 minutes left in the second, and they're down 2-0, and you're like, yeah, they're going to win. And I just responded back. I was like, wow. I am not feeling that right now. At about the 17-minute mark in the second, I thought they started just kicking ass for the rest of the second period. But even the beginning of the second period, they didn't come out great. But why were you confident they were going to win?
I don't know. I just, hockey's weird that way. And the amount of domination that Minnesota displayed in the first period, I just was like, that's not possible for 60 minutes. It can't happen for 60 minutes. It's just so ridiculously one-sided, and these two teams are way too closely matched. And when that third goal came off the board, I thought that just gave a little bit of life to the Golden Knights. And when they got the intermission, I thought that they were going to come out and have a jump in their step, because that's just how hockey goes. Those 20 minutes can change everything, and momentum shifts a lot of times. And like I said, with two evenly matched teams, one dominating so much, I just felt like the ice was going to tilt the other way. And being only down 2 with 40 minutes left is a big deal compared to being down 3. So I was just like, I texted that text to everybody. I'm like, we're going to win this game. And I don't know how. I don't know why. And It doesn't look like it. And I bet them at plus 300.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's crazy, because I wasn't feeling it, especially in the second when they didn't come out that great either. So Adam's here. Adam's muted. Thank you, Adam, for coming in, because I know you're still probably writing and finishing up all your stuff late night. So, yeah, I just said Justin had texted me 5 minutes into the second. He's like, yeah, they're going to win. I'm like, what are you talking about? Did you feel the same way? Like, hey, Minnesota was so freaking good, they were going to have a letdown?
I don't know there'd be a letdown. I did think after the overturned goal, it really opened the door for sure. Where you look at that and say, okay, 3-0 is a big, big difference from 2-0, not just from from an actual level of needing 3 goals to come back and tie, but from a confidence level of just knowing, hey. And I looked at it. I remember in the first intermission, I was talking to some of my colleagues, and I said, really, all you have to do is make sure you get one in the second period. Now, all of a sudden, it's a 1-goal game going to the third. Minnesota starts to feel the pressure. You come back. Instead, the Golden Knights went on, just completely dominated, got the 3, got in front, and completely changed the game there. But there's another factor. And listen, I talked about this, and I'm covering Minnesota for this series. So I'm in Minnesota morning skate. I'm in Minnesota post game. I'm all over Minnesota. So I'm seeing it a lot from their perspective. And they really dismissed the overturned goal as a factor. They said it really wasn't that. They were much more pointing to a couple things. One was overturned goal. One was the penalties, which Golden Knights got a couple breaks on penalties that weren't called against them. Wild got some called on them that were a little borderline, and they said, "Hey, we killed off all the penalties, but we spent 10 minutes on trying to kill off these penalties, where we're putting extra strain on our skaters. They're all out over the ice, and our rotations are all screwed up because we're trying to kill off these penalties instead of playing 5-on-5." Now they weren't throwing that out as an excuse. They were more saying hey, it wasn't the third goal. It was that we were putting ourselves in these positions. We were chasing, getting desperate, doing all this. And the one other factor, which I don't think was talked very much about, was Marcus Johansson getting injured in the first period. Which one of those penalties that probably should have been called, let's be honest. William Karlsson took him into the net.
What do you think, Justin? What do you think of that?
I disagree with that 100%.
I watched the replay multiple times, and I don't know how I did it, but somehow I tapped into the Minnesota feed, and they said repeatedly over and over again that should have been a penalty. And finally, they watched like 8 replays, and they're like, he actually didn't get him with the stick, or he barely got him. So, but
I don't think he ever touched him with a stick. I think he pushed the puck into his skate.
Yeah,
but his stick never touched his skate. I don't think. So I don't think I thought that was like a really easy call for the refs to make. And I thought it was a pretty incredible no call.
Maybe. But either way, the point wasn't about the penalty I was making. The point is that he got hurt on that play and didn't play again. So now not only are they shorthanded, now they're killing power plays, for much of the night. And him not being out there, he's not a big goal scoring guy, but he definitely is a big factor for them in terms of driving the way that they want to play. And the fact that he wasn't out there, I think, was a much, much bigger deal to the Wild than the overturned third goal or penalties or anything like that. Like, that was kind of the thing that you looked at. What they were kind of concerned with was like, hey, not only did he not play, we're down a man. Now, from the sound of it, he's done. Nothing definitive was said, but the sound is like he's done. So now, the complexion of the series changes a little bit from that regard too. So that was a much bigger deal to them than the third goal.
To be fair, it's not. If we're really assessing these penalties being called in Minnesota, it's not like they're being strained when they're on penalty kill. The Golden Knights power play sucks so bad. It's so incredibly bad that they don't even need to put out special pairings. They could just run out their regular lines and it would be fine.
That's fair.
It's so terrible.
They were talking more from a rotation standpoint of like having 11 guys. Having 11 guys trying to figure out how to how to play those guys, put the stress on them of killing a penalty. Even though you're right, I mean, there's no threat from the Golden Knights power play. In fact, they should almost decline penalties.
Yes, yes, exactly. It kills any momentum they have going every time they get to penalty. Like when we got it was 2-1, and then we got the power play. It was like, oh, everybody's like, oh, we need this power play, and I'm like, no, now the momentum's killed. Like now I don't feel good about us scoring a second goal. But after the penalty was over and we didn't score on the power play, then they come through and score, 2 more goals that period. But I never get the sense that when we're on the power play that it's like, oh yeah, here's our chance. It's just not going to happen.
Amazing, the discrepancy between the power play and the penalty kill for the Knights. Obviously, 2 very different tasks, but the penalty kill is the best in the league and like historically good on the penalty kill, and their power play is just awful. I think only one team in the NHL one playoff team had a worse power play than the Golden Knights. So it hasn't been great for the Knights on that regard, but as far as the series goes, they've trailed in all 3 games and they're up 2-1. So really can't get much better.
Yeah, and I thought that last 10 minutes of the third period, I know they weren't on the penalty kill, but it's the same kind of prevent sort of defense. And I thought the Golden Knights played like really, really well, made some really good defensive plays to just neutralize any potential threats until they got to the extra attacker. And then there was a couple wild saves with Petro, swiping the puck off the goal line, and then Fleury, what appeared to be a behind the back save, but it was actually in his pad. It was I think it was down near his ankle in his goalie pads that was stuck in there. So two sort of weird ones, but hey, man, I mean, super glad they got it. And, now I don't know what the health wise is looking, but certainly if the Golden Knights can keep the pressure on for game 4, come back here up 3-1, that would be incredibly huge.
I still feel like, I mean, you can't make the call because it's a replay, it has to be conclusive, but I still feel that puck was in.
It wasn't in his glove.
Bro, no. It doesn't matter. His back was in the net.
No, they have a view of it in his pad. They have a straight down. It's not in.
But then it disappeared after that.
No. It's in his pad. You could see it the whole time.
No, but on the NBC broadcast or the NBC Sports, I don't know which broadcast you were looking at. Maybe the same one, but on the NBC Sports one, they said, "Here we have it here, and here's the puck." But then the puck disappears from our angle. So then they said, after that, we don't know where the puck goes, and so there's nothing they can do about it.
So the NHL did their explanation video.
Did they?
They've released it. Yeah, take a look.
Good. I should get it. I usually get those in the email.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. So I wasn't trying to stop everything while I looked at it. I was actually just trying to look for it.
Yeah, but their video review rules are pretty stringent on that too. Like, even if you know it's not possible if they can't see the puck, they won't call it. We had one of those earlier this year. Yeah, we had one of those earlier this year where it was like in the glove, but you couldn't see it, but you knew the glove was across the line, and they still didn't give it to us.
Actually, before I even stop thinking about it, I wanted to mention in another game tonight, Steve, because I think I saw somebody comment on it too. There was a LaRussa like moment to me in the with the Tavares play. I'm sure you guys have seen the highlight now, but it was a completely inadvertent play. Obviously, I mean, he's on the ground and a knee hits his head, and it sucks. It's a terrible, terrible moment. It's awful. But it's a friend of his that actually need him in the head. So he felt terrible about it. But then they still were like, we still have to fight.
Dude, yeah, I'm with you on this 100%. NHL Network, I was watching the highlights after the VGK game. They spent 5 solid minutes talking about how awesome this was and how they honored the tradition of the game and how respectful, this was to answer. This is such bullshit. Perry did everything he could to try to avoid making contact with Tavares. There was completely inadvertent. Clearly, it affected him. He felt bad for it. And the Leafs guy, it was Foligno, was like, "Hey, I don't know what you want to hear from me, but my captain's on the ice, so we fight." It's like, what? It's stupid.
That is ridiculous.
It's so stupid.
The guy's passing by him, clearly tries to avoid him. It was so split second. Come on. Like, he tried to do it on purpose. Give me a freaking break.
And they said, like, Perry is friends with Tavares, like, in the offseason. They're boys, their families are friends. And so he not only, does this, clearly try to avoid it, but he's also, like, affected. As you said, I watched his press conference after the game. Like, he felt terrible. He was like, this sucks. And now he's out on the ice, like, that sucks. I just might have hurt my friend, maybe even affected his career. I don't know how bad this is. My friend is, like, going to the hospital. This is terrible. And now I've got to fight you? Like, what are you talking about? It's just,
and then Perry in the fight never threw a punch, and the NHL Network was talking about how awesome that was too. And I was like, it's so stupid. There's 2 things that drive me nuts about NHL culture. One is answering the bell for when, on stupid shit like that inadvertent, not intentional stuff. And the other one is the accepted idea that the referees are game managers and that they're going to sort of even things out. And that's just understood and accepted that, if one team's completely out of control and committing a whole bunch of penalties and the other team's not at all, they're still going to even things up. They're still going to stop. They're going to stop making calls so that they don't have a 7-0 on power plays. That drives me crazy. And they openly talk about how it's encouraged for referees to be game managers. I hate that. 2 things.
Preposterous.
Am I off?
It was Max headrooming a little bit. I wanted you guys to talk about some of the guys who we generally don't see as like giant contributors who stepped up tonight.
Patrick Brown.
That would be one. I'm not saying he's not a big contributor, but I thought Carrier was really good at different times.
I thought actually Carrier's been good in this series. I mean, his line hasn't necessarily been great, but I thought game 1 and game 2 that they did a good job, or he specifically did a pretty good job of maintaining ozone time as they turned it over and made changes behind them, and so that the first line or second line, whoever came on next, was entering the zone or already in the offensive zone after the fourth line. So I thought he did good. Or has been doing good. I thought Patrick Brown played a good game. I thought Reeves was all but invisible. I felt like that's how he's been for all 3 of these games. I don't think he's been impactful. If he has impacted the game. I don't think it's in a positive way for the Golden Knights. I don't think he's hurt us a ton, but I definitely don't feel like he's been helpful.
I think Nick Holden, who has really not played in forever. Oh, there you go. The comment right there. Hasn't played in forever. They draw him back into the lineup tonight. And, solid defensively as you would expect from Nick Holden. Also, he's pretty offensive minded at times, and tonight got into the rush a little bit and had 2 assists. I mean, not that it was some unbelievable plays that he made, but I think just very solid. And to have a guy like that on your bench that you just don't play like ever, and that just stays as a professional, and when it's his time, he goes back out there. Maybe biased because he's just like such a good dude and has been so good with media during his time here. So sometimes that affects you a little bit, and you kind of hope guys do well. But yeah, he was really good tonight, I thought, for the situation that he was put into.
Yeah, I thought, like everybody else on VGK, I thought he had a pretty rough first period. He gave up a couple chances. I don't think any of them went in, but one of them resulted in a breakaway one-on-one chance that was absolutely Holden's responsibility. Yeah. But he was but everybody was bad in the first period. I mean, Wall, gave up the first chance and goal, and so everybody was struggling a little bit. But yeah, I mean, Holden had a 2-point game coming back. Patrick Brown has a goal in his first game back, and when I heard that Patrick Brown was going in, I was kind of thinking that it should have been Glass, because maybe Glass can help out with the power play, and I don't think he would hurt us on the fourth line. But Patrick Brown, man, I will say this. One thing that Minnesota has absolutely killed the Golden Knights at in this series is stick battles. It seems like they win 95% of the 50-50 pucks in the stick battles. And Patrick Brown was really good tonight at like winning those stick battles and coming out with it. So was Kolesar. Actually, Kolesar was really good in on the boards and in the corners. And I'm not a huge Kolesar fan, but I thought he had a really good game too. So you know what? I guess they made the right. Clearly, they made the right call. Who won the game?
I feel like also when we talk about these things, like I feel like, man, the fourth line takes so much criticism and people just hate them so much. And I thought there was just times where, they came in and, they do what they do, just creating pressure in the offensive zone. Now, they're not great finishers necessarily. So they don't always score goals, but I think, creating zone time, forechecking, getting physical, setting a tone, the presence, and it was different obviously with Nosek not there on that line, but I just thought a lot of what they did in general with the puck and setting a tone for the game was impressive. I thought it was good.
I think that's a super good point. Yeah, they do get a lot of criticism, and I thought actually in game 2, before any goals were scored, I was commenting to the people around me saying, "Man, the fourth line's the only one like heavy on the forecheck, getting into the zone and actually being heavy on the forecheck." And I thought that was true again here tonight, that they were causing problems. I mean, yes, they're not resulting in a lot of scoring chances, although Patrick Brown did get a goal. They had more scoring chances tonight than they did in game 2, but it's problematic. I mean, it's creating a situation in which Minnesota's having a hard time getting out of their own zone. They're not being able to change out players, and we're able to change and get our top lines in the offensive zone without having to expend energy entering. It's already there. So, yeah, I agree with you. I thought the fourth line played well tonight. They clearly had the most energy for most of the game for VGK, although the energy picked up second half of it.
What about the Carlson goal?
It was a great goal, but I actually thought he was having a super rough game before that goal. I thought he lost a ton of stick battles. I thought he had a whole bunch of turnovers, and I'm a Carlson fan. I mean, he's the first jersey I bought. I love the 200-foot player. I think he makes a ton of plays almost every game that go really unnoticed when they don't result in a direct goal off of his stick. But I think he does a ton of super smart things. But the first two periods I thought were really rough for him. Even when we were scoring in the second period, I thought, dude, he's just I thought it was one of the worst games I've ever seen him play. He had tons of turnovers. I mean, I can think of 4 or 5 just in that first two periods that were directly as a result of him. And then, I mean, everybody picked it up after that, but it was nice to see him elect to shoot in that spot and to see it go in. Hopefully that snowballs into more confidence for him, because he's like that. He scores in bunches.
I would love to answer Brady's question, but I don't think I can.
What odds did everybody? I got plus 300 of VGK to win when they were down 0-2.
No, Brady's questions, because I said I cheer for Holden. I root for Holden do well because he's so nice.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. Rhymes with?
God, I mean, there was one that's not there anymore, but
I know who that is.
I almost gave it away.
Can I say what it rhymes with?
You might be thinking of somebody different, but I mean, are you talking about somebody that was there for year one and then that was it?
No, past year one.
Okay. Rhymes with what?
Rhymes with a balla.
Okay. That's a good guess.
Yeah.
Nice. Someone made a comment earlier. Oh, Mark and LV was saying in the pregame, Lawless alluded to the to potentially seeing Glass and Brown on the fourth line in the future. All right.
I would be really interested to see that. Not so much because, I mean, the fourth line plays 7 to 9 minutes, right? It's not because that the fourth line needs help in their 5-on-5, but the power play needs something, man. And Glass, I still think at this point, is the second leading scorer with power play goals for VGK. And he only played in like 9 games this season, but he's got 3 power play goals. So something like that. He's got more power play goals than most of them. When he's in there, they do something a little bit different where he's back behind the goal, sort of quarterbacking on the opposite side of the defensive men. And it would create a different look for Minnesota. So I would be really interested to see that. I think it would be good to see Glass, Brown, and either Colasar or Carrier alternating that fourth spot and being the third one, and sit Reeves for a game or two and see how it works and see if we can get some power play generated, because Reeves doesn't penalty kill. He doesn't do power play. Carrier doesn't penalty kill, doesn't do power play. Neither does Colasar. And you know, we get more minutes out of Glass in that spot.
I wanted to give credit to both Lawless and Ryan Reeves for being pros. I was actually on the road between the first and the second period. So on our hockey station, Fox Sports Las Vegas, in between periods, you know, it happens quick. So the period ends, they've just played like shit and they got dominated, you know, really close to being down 3-0. And Duva's like, all right, let's go downstairs. Ryan Reeves is there. So Duva asks him a question. Reeves lists like 7 things that they're doing poorly, like just annihilates the team. Lawless, without hesitation, is like, well, why aren't you doing it? Like, okay. Like, you know, and Reeves just took it and answered. And then Lawless was like, well, how do you guys do it? Okay. And then Reeves answered it. So I don't know if anyone heard it, but I thought, like, I'm obviously a student of what we're doing. And I thought both sides, like, Reeves was not a dick about it. He's like, accountability. And Lawless didn't F around. He's just like, bang, bang. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I see somebody on here said what Lawless talked about Glass potentially being part of that. I mean, the bottom line is right now they just don't trust Cody Glass. Like, if they did, he'd be playing. Like, there's no question about that. Like,
yeah, clearly PDB doesn't trust Glass. I mean, if nothing else,
tough guys in here. Tough guys in here talking trash.
Yeah.
Hasn't Glass been playing really well for the Silver Knights though?
A different level. I mean, I know. Yeah, but I think that's kind of where they think he is right now. Like, yeah, he's been good. I just don't think, for whatever reason, I don't know what the issue is, but you know, they don't trust him. And some coaches just, like, it's not always just about production. Like, I know a lot of us like to look at, oh, and he's doing this, or he's scoring goals, or he's getting assists, or he's doing this. Like, there's, you know, some things like within a system that sometimes coaches are just like, no. And the same, you know, with now with 2 different coaching staffs, you know, people have had their opinions about Ryan Reeves, like, oh, I don't think he does this, or I don't like him for this, or I don't want him here for this reason. Well, 2 different coaching staffs now have been like, we freaking need that dude. Like, that is a dude we need on the ice. Yeah,
clearly for the system that VGK wants to run, they value what Reeves brings, and not only value it, they clearly think he's the best in the league at doing what they're asking him to do. Like they believe he's the best at it. Maybe outside of like Tom Wilson, who's going to do that and score 30 goals, but Tom Wilson's, he's a unicorn in the league. He's the only guy that does that.
Also, for some of the same reasons as earlier with people talking about, so if I'm cheering for guys or not cheering for guys, I don't really do that. But there's just guys that you like from being around them. Like I've actually been around Tom Wilson quite a bit. He is an unbelievable dude, and people hate that guy, hate him. He is a great guy. Which
I think everybody would love. He's the guy you want on your team, though. You love him.
True.
He's the number one jersey seller if he's on your team.
Yeah, and his teammates love him. Everyone around him loves him. He treats everybody in that organization really well, and he's just a good dude. So I think that's an interesting one there. And there's guys that you think are really good dudes. Some guys that have been on the Golden Knights who are publicly really good dudes, and then you're like, you see how they treat staffers or employees, and you're like,
shitheads.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
And it's some of the guys that you might think are really, really good dudes that like publicly when the cameras are on, they're really good.
I don't remember you ever having an issue with Neal.
James Neal loves James Neal.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a problem with that. And I will say, like, when he was gone, we went up there and did a feature on him the next year. Me and Ed Graney went up to Canada and spent some time around him for a couple of days and was really, really cool with us. And, he was like, he doesn't do a whole lot of media stuff, but when he was told it was us, he was like, yeah, for sure.
Right.
So I think he's kind of prickly and, really arrogant.
Right.
But, professional. And I think you can respect that.
I heard a long form interview. It may have been on the 31 Thoughts podcast, but I think it was on NHL Network with Neal, where they kind of really got into his upbringing and everything. And he was this is like, I think it was this year or maybe it was last year. Super good interview. I have to say that. And he, like, to your point, Cofield, about, Ryan Reeves answering the questions and not hiding and shying away from it. Right. He was a great interview. He answered everything respectfully, wasn't kind of a dick about it, and kind of let people into some of the inner workings of his, life and emotions and upbringing and all that stuff. It was really good. It kind of sort of changed my perspective on him a little bit.
Cool deal. Someone said, I put the comment up earlier. Oh, Ray was saying, I hope this calms everyone down about home ice against Colorado if they get there. Home ice is overrated. I don't know, man. The way Colorado's played so far, is everyone calmed down?
Well, first off, let's remember that Minnesota only had 4,500 people in their building, and I went to VGK games when we had 4,000 or 2,000 or it went 1,900, 2,500, 4,000. I did each one of those stair steps. I went to each game, and it wasn't until we got to 50% capacity that I thought that the crowd could actually really even be realistically heard and impact any aspect of the game.
But Adam, you agree when the crowds were 4,500, whatever they were, 4,000, that they weren't much of a factor? Because I will say I'm just watching on TV. All of us were, but I didn't notice the wild crowd at all tonight.
And they were pumping in fake crowd noise too. They said they were.
Yeah.
So like I was in the arena at T-Mobile when the crowd tried to be super loud with 3,500 or 3,700 people in there. Like it was an exciting game, and the crowd was trying to impact it, and they couldn't. We were all shouting at the top of our lungs, and when we realized, like, dude, this does not work. Like, there's not enough people for this to accumulate and be something, and everybody just kind of sat on their hands and then listened to the fake crowd noise come get pumped in and just watch the hockey game.
I just think like the numbers will say that historically it doesn't make a big difference. But home teams do have an advantage. Like it's not like it's negligible. It's a small advantage, but it is a big one. I think we make too much of a deal of it. Like we almost just assume, home games are wins for teams, which is not the case. You have a little bit of an edge for sure. But I also feel like you can't say, well, the Golden Knights have this unbelievable home ice advantage, but home ice doesn't matter anywhere else. And that tends to be what people kind of look at it as like nobody could come in here and beat this team in this crowd and this environment. But when they go on the road, home ice really isn't that big of a deal. Like you do hear that, a little bit, which is kind of silly. And it seems like most people are biased just toward, everything mattering for Vegas, but not on the other side.
Right.
And infamous Vegas flu, which is not the same for a couple reasons. First of all, you can't go out as a road team in the NHL. I actually talked to a couple people around the league that were like, well, really not the same going to Vegas this year as it is going other years. Not as fun. We don't get to go out. But also teams understand like what happens when you do it. I was a couple years ago when, there was the reports that the Bruins were out at like 5 a.m. playing blackjack, and I went down and saw that it was the case. And then they went and got just run off the ice. Those things do happen. They have happened. And we saw other teams like plan days. Like we saw teams start to plan road trips. Like, okay, you have 2 days off before Vegas. Let's go early. Let's get there. Party the first night, get that out of our system, and then, go take the game seriously. We did see some of that. But yeah, there was absolutely the first couple of years that was a massive advantage for Vegas. For sure.
I saw a comment on there about the Isles only had 6,000 fans. They're playing at Nassau right now, right?
Yeah.
For the playoffs? Yeah, so Nassau only holds 10,000. So that's, 60% capacity? Unless they were playing in Brooklyn.
No, they definitely played in Nassau.
Yeah, I think Nassau only holds like 10,400 or something. It's a much smaller venue. So, and it's, as I understand that arena, it's like really echoey and loud. Like, it's really compact. Intimate is the word they use.
It's better than it says 14,000 for hockey.
Oh, all right.
13,900.
You said you said Barclays sucks, right?
I was just gonna say Barclays it's the worst hockey arena I've ever been to. It's fucking terrible, just awful. I've said also worst arenas I've ever covered. This is relevant to this too. Two worst arenas I've ever covered UFC in. One, Baltimore Arena is just a fucking disaster. But the other one, which is relevant to the hockey conversation, Key Arena. And I know they're redoing it, but good Lord, that place sucked. Oh my God. It was awful. So they're redoing it, but how much can you do?
Well, they're only keeping the roof.
Right.
Everything else underneath is all new, brand new. It's just the roof.
Well, I'm sure the roof sucked too. So I guess hopefully that doesn't affect the rest of it.
Historic landmark.
It's a historic landmark. Yeah. But I thought when I went to the Stanley Cup Finals in DC, I thought the Capitals Arena was trash.
Oh, I loved it.
What are you talking about? It's an office building.
I know.
It's literally an office building.
It's in Chinatown. It's in Chinatown. Huh? It's in Chinatown. First of all, I thought like the club level underneath was really cool. Like the way that's the way we entered. I don't know where you went. And that was awesome.
Out of here.
And then I love the neighborhood because it's so close to all the government buildings that are like right there. Right next to Ford's Theater is literally like a block away, which is awesome.
No, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about the neighborhood and all that shit. I'm talking about you literally don't know you're next to an arena because it's an office fucking building.
Yeah, I love that part.
That's stupid.
Yeah, build it in.
Oh my God. It's an office building with concourses that are like 3 people wide and 7 fucking levels because each level is only as tall as an office building level. It's weird.
I loved it.
Trash.
And well, now it's a sports book. It's just one giant sports book. Yeah. So that's even cooler. I love that. Like the Green Turtle. Did you go there at all when you were at the what was it called then? Capital One Arena, I think it was.
One. Yeah.
Green Turtle was awesome. And they turned that into just a straight up sports book. And then the rest of the arena is going to be used as a sports book when there's no games going on. which like you just sit in the arena, watch games, make bets. It's going to be awesome. I love that.
Why would I want to sit in that fucking building? It's a terrible building. I don't want anything to do with that thing.
It's not terrible. I loved it. You just thought it was terrible because they were playing against the Knights.
No, I was all excited to go. I summered in DC when I was in college, so I know DC area. I've ridden Metro. I lived there for 3 months, and so I was excited to go back there. And I was like, I wonder where the arena is. And then I take the Metro there, and they're like, signs are saying the arena's over here, and I'm like, where? And then it's like, no, enter this glass door over here. And I'm like, this can't be a fucking arena.
You can take Metro right to it though.
I did.
It's great.
Oh god.
Any kind of arena with public transportation right outside is awesome. Best arenas, I mean, not for necessarily for NHL, but well, first of all, Edmonton for the NHL is absolutely tremendous. That place is awesome. The Golden One Center in Sacramento. I think Steve, did you go there?
I didn't, but you've raved about it any chance you could. You said it was awesome.
Oh, unbelievable! I love that place. It's great.
And then don't you like the art at the Warriors Arena?
No. I actually thought the Chase Center was a bit crappy.
Yeah,
I mean it's a nice building, but again, there's nothing near it yet. It's going to be built up, I'm sure, at some point. But I was very underwhelmed with Chase Center for my Dubs. My Dubs deserve better.
My Dubs.
Yeah, we deserve better. Last night was heartbreaking, by the way.
All right. Let's move on from hockey for a couple of minutes. I know Adam's got some legal questions, but I just want to get us in the mood. Brady said, to Justin's comment, it was actually 7 people wide, but that's only 3 Americans wide. I don't know that I can get all the comments on this video, but this may be the most creative I've seen Twitter attack a chubby guy for his stupidity and lack of conditioning. Did anyone get a look at this guy?
No.
We'll just give it a listen because I don't know how viral it went, but he's a doozy.
Hey everybody, breaking news. I just saw an article, 120 United States of America generals have said that Joe Biden is not legitimate as a president. He's incompetent. You know what this means? I'm going to tell you what this means. It means Trump is coming back real soon.
Okay, so first thing people notice is he is completely fucking gassed, sitting in his car talking. Like he can't catch his breath. He's that out of shape. We won't get into the teeth.
You would be too, Steve. You would be this excited too
if my side was going to get back in power.
If Trump was coming back,
is that the way it works? My side.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just like, as a side note, something is happening in this world.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it is. I try to avoid as much as I possibly can. But I've mentioned this before. I have a group text with 2 very conservative friends of mine that are virulently anti-Trump, but they're actual conservatives that just hate Trump, and we just talk politics all the time. But we have one guy that we know that's a pretty hardcore Q guy, and he was like 30 posts a day leading up to Inauguration Day that it wasn't real, and then all of a sudden he went away because we were like, what is he going to do when this doesn't happen? Like when he's wrong about all this stuff, and Inauguration Day isn't like a roundup of all the Democrats and throwing them in jail, and like he's wrong about all these things that he predicted. Like, what's he going to do? And the answer was he went away. Like he just disappeared from social media. And like in the last 2 days, he's been back, and he's got all these theories about Trump is the legitimate president, and it's gonna something's gonna happen in the next 2 days. So like we've been like, oh, okay, something is going on in the Q world. Like that is our like gauge for what's going on. So something is going on that's been triggering these thoughts that something's going to happen now.
120 generals do not think Biden won fairly, and it's not right, and he's incompetent. So everybody, this is a little update. Been reading all kinds of articles. Trump has the media. Trump has the generals behind him. They're just starting to say this. They're saying this right now, so that when they take Biden out and they take him out of there and arrest him, that he's gonna, the public will know what's coming out for Mr. Biden.
What?
He's not my president. He's not the president of the United States of America. He's an imposter. He's a traitor. He's a dummy.
I think that's my favorite part. Is this guy calling anyone a dummy?
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
Keep going, big fella.
He's an idiot. Mr. Biden, you're not the legitimate president if it's really you, and not James Woods or Jim Carrey. Big news story. 120 generals have come out and spoken against Biden. He does not have the support of the military. Military still supports Trump.
Wait, so James Woods or Jim Carrey are actually the ones impersonating Joe Biden and acting as our president?
Yeah, didn't you hear him, Justin?
I thought James Woods was an ultra conservative.
He is. Maybe. Well, yeah, they had to stick somebody in office to wait until they, until
the second coming.
Yeah.
What is he looking for? The cops? Like he's gonna get arrested? Like they're coming to get him?
Dude, when I see this shit, it literally, like, I don't even think it's funny. I don't even get joy out of it. I just feel so sad for these people because they clearly are. I think there's only 10% of them that know that this is all bullshit and they're just playing along and playing a part. And I think the other 90% like believe this shit.
But
the
problem is
in this fucking alternate world.
The problem is they're platformed though. And I know that's a weird term that's just come into fruition the last like 4 years or whatever. But like the ones that know better, that are just playing this game for profit, have the largest platforms, and so they keep like feeding into these idiots, and them thinking like that there's legitimacy to it because hey, if this famous person that has this big platform believes it's true, I'm not so dumb. Like maybe now my ridiculous thoughts have legitimacy, and that's the issue. I mean, we've talked about it, and the ones that are just outright characters are the worst. I mean, whatever. And I've mentioned her many times. Candace Owens, for those that don't know, started off Trump's presidency having an anti-Trump website. She was an anti-Trump person who had a website that wasn't going anywhere, and decided, I, as a pro-Trump person, can be like, hey, look, black female that loves Trump and is smart and can say this thing. Like, she's absolutely just a fake character playing this role because it's for profit. So like those are the ones that you're like, this is not right. Like, I get it's a capitalistic society, and you think you can profit off something, go ahead, but like you're giving these people like legitimacy to their thoughts, and it's gross.
That's what I put 99% of. I saw the comment about, actual Congress people, senators, and U.S. representatives believing it. I don't think that they actually believe it. They're playing along for power. Instead of profit, they're doing it for power. They know that it, like Stefanik, right? She was against Trump. She was speaking out about, how vile he was when the tapes came out and all that, and then realized, wait a minute, I might become powerful in Congress if I start providing him cover. So I'm going to do it. I don't think she actually believes it. I don't think any of those people who objected to the election results actually believe it. I don't. I think that they were just playing a part because it results in power. That's it.
Oh no.
Here we go.
Is this the second?
Abusive.
Same guy?
Nope, different guy. Abusive cops. Cops out of control. It's unbelievable. You're gonna feel for this guy. I promise you. Oh, I promise you.
I'm waiting for your boss to call me. Fuck off and get in your car. You're a fucking little bitch. Give me my ticket and go fuck yourself, goofball fucking faggot. Fuck.
Okay. So we're off to a good start.
Goofball fucking faggot. Fuck you. Fuck off, you bitch.
I just want you to watch the dog, because the dog is the only one in the car who has any sense. Like that was not good. Watch the dog.
You're a fucking clown.
he like pushed him. So he just hit me. So. And I fucking.
He's got his gun on me now. The RCMP officer has his gun on me now. Listen to him. He's fucking hitting. He's hitting my fucking truck now. He's breaking my window. Holy fuck! Get a member here. Get a member here. Holy fuck! Help me! Help me! I won't
Send somebody now, please. He's got a gun on my husband.
He's tripping balls.
Send someone now.
Help me! Help me! Help me! Holy fuck! Help me!
Sakes, what are you doing? Fuck! He didn't do anything. Fuck!
I called for fucking help.
Send more people.
Nice. It's unreal. It's unreal. They clipped a cop. That was actually the third time he got pulled over. They kept
in a row.
He actually, the last one he clipped a cop, and finally they're like, all right. It's amazing, the behavior.
Yeah, and that they didn't believe that they did anything wrong. They filmed all of this.
Yep.
They are so entitled that they think that they're in the right.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Can you imagine that happening and then you saying, "I need to put out this video of how I acted"?
Yeah. Like how off you have to be to think that like I'm gonna get the world on my side by showing what happened, the whole story, and everybody's like, "Fuck you."
That's amazing.
The only thing that made that video better is when the door got open and the dog jumped out. I was like, "That's my chance." He just got out and took off.
I would have loved it if the dog would have attacked the driver. Just started going after him.
That's awesome.
Hey, just to go back 1 second to the political stuff because it's a legal question that I have. Justin, did you see the statement from the lawyer of the QAnon Shaman?
No.
I wanted to get your thoughts on this, just from a lawyer perspective. And for those that don't know, like I think people know who this clown is now. He's the QAnon Shaman guy who wears the horns and he's at the Capitol building, and he's also a vegan, which there was a big talk because like he went into jail and he was like, "I need vegan meals." Like, shut the fuck up. So his lawyer told the media this week that his client was a victim of Trump's propaganda efforts, and that will be the case that they make when it goes to trial. But here's the quote that I think a lot of people are caught up on, and that I want to get your thought on. He said, "A lot of these defendants, and I'm going to use the colloquial term, perhaps disrespectfully, but they're all fucking short bus people. These are people with brain damage, they're fucking retarded, and they're on the goddamn spectrum." That is the lawyer of the QAnon Shaman guy who made that statement. Like, what is he doing, first of all? Oh, sorry, you had it there. You could have.
What's this Watkins? What the fuck is this? The guy's name's Watkins? What the fuck is going on here?
Albert Watkins. Albert Watkins, the attorney. Relative, clearly?
No.
J. Albert Watkins. Justin.
Yep. That's going to be in my promotional reads now. I'm definitely including that. So like, Justin Watkins, Matt Hoffman, and Albert Watkins, who, in certain circumstances, he'll tell you, don't be fucking retarded.
I do not have any idea what possible legal strategy or advantage you can gain by using those offensive terms. I don't see the angle. I mean, it's one thing to say that like, hey, these people are mentally, impaired. Some of them may be on the spectrum. Some of them may not be fully cognitively able. You could say all those different things and set up your defense that way. You could do that. I don't know why you need to go into that kind of language. I don't know. Maybe by using those super offensive or polarizing words like that, he knew that it would get, if I'm trying to find a reason, he knew that it would get a lot of publicity and it would help to condition the future jurors, that these people are, if he used all the politically correct terms, it wouldn't have made the news that it made when he used the politically incorrect terms. And so he's reaching more people and conditioning jurors before it goes to jury. Maybe, but I would, if he did that, he's playing some 3-dimensional chess that I'm not playing. That's all I'm going to say.
What I mean, in general, what is the? I mean, I guess this is part of it in a high-profile trial, right? Is like playing the jury pool before the trial ever starts. I mean,
yeah,
that has to be part of a strategy if the trial is going to be this high profile, and especially if your defense is going to be, hey, the president talked our guys, my client into doing this. My client is not very smart. He's easily influenceable, and he was influenced by the most powerful person on the planet who did this to him. And if that's going to be your defense, you have to, I guess, set it up early. But I guess how much of that is a part of lawyering now in this world with where everything can go viral?
Not much, but in the select few of high-profile cases, yeah, it matters. If you're in a high-profile case within a community that you don't think you can get jurisdiction moved, sure, it matters. But like in this particular instance, I mean, if that's the defense you're going to go to, I would just throw the shaman up on the stand and be like, look at this fucking guy. Like, come on. He's clearly not capable of handling himself. He lives with his mom and he wears fucking horns and face paint all day. Like, this guy's, he's highly susceptible to being influenced by misinformation. And that's what happened. Now, the real legal question is that a defense to the crimes he's charged with? If it's a general intent crime, so we have one here, trespassing, right? He's trespassing on federal property. Doesn't matter. It does not matter if you thought it was your property, if you were mistaken in your belief as to who owned it, or if you had permission. It does not matter. The only thing that matters is that you stepped foot on the property that wasn't yours, so you trespassed. That's it. So that doesn't even come into play for that. Now, any intentional crimes, which would be like assault and battery, various levels of mens rea, what your mental motives were, your mental thought process were, what your motives were, matter. But the shaman, I don't believe, is in the assault and battery situation. I think he's part of the conspiracy strategy, but I think his main charge is felony trespass. So it's not even a defense.
I'm mad at Brady because we're thinking alike. It's probably a bad sign for him. But my question to you was going to be, if you are representing him, are you telling him like wear the stupid costume? Like when you get on stand, wear that don't clean yourself up. Don't be trial shaman. Wear the fucking outfit.
I would go, it would be so oppo from anything that I've ever done. I would put my client on the stand and I would cross-examine my client. I'd be like, you're an idiot, aren't you? Like, I just make the guy like, you don't know what you're doing. You live with your mom. You're a clown. I would just go right in and just make him hate me, but clearly demonstrate that he has no idea what the hell's going on. Or if you're trying to be ultra like strategic, which I don't think works most of the time. But if you're trying to do that, then you do some sort of questioning that you actually influence him. You demonstrate to the jury how he holds one opinion, and then you go through a line of questioning and influence him to the other, to the other side. And then just show, like, you guys all just saw what I did there, right? Like, that's what we're dealing with.
Would I be a good lawyer if I just put him on the stand in that outfit and I was like, what do you refer to yourself as? And he's like, the QAnon shaman. I rest. We're good.
Well, no. You got to get out there that he's jobless. He's unemployed. He lives with his mom. He walks around. He walks around the neighborhood with the pelt and the fucking horns and sits on the roof. I mean, you got to get all that out there.
So if I would follow up with, are you in fact a shaman? No. Okay. We're good.
He might think he is, dude.
I don't know what he. You know what? I don't want to get into his mind.
There you go. Wait. We can combine our two strategies. Are you in fact a shaman? No. Are you sure? And then I would influence him, and by the end, be like, "So you are a shaman? I am a shaman."
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, organic vegan food. First of all, that's not cheap. What is he doing to get his money to get the I guess his mom has the money. That's what he's doing. This is God, these
Poor
are
mom.
gonna be some fun trials though, right?
I can't believe they go to trial. I mean, because like I said, for the trespass, there's no defense. You did it. Unless your only defense would be like, I didn't commit any voluntary acts of any kind that led me there. Somebody kidnapped me and threw me into that building. That would be your only defense.
Didn't he steal Pelosi's podium? Like, didn't he carry that out?
He wasn't the podium stealer, I didn't think. I thought
he had it.
I thought he had like some paperwork or something.
Okay.
Some
mail.
stationery.
Did he take her mail?
Maybe that was. Oh no, that's a federal crime too, and
Yeah.
that's a whole other one.
Somebody took her mail. I know that.
Yeah, I thought that was that old dude who was
That's
like,
true.
"No, we were just having fun."
You're right.
And I left her $1 for it or something. Remember that?
Yeah.
I left her $5 or $1. Or
Wait, is
shit.
while we're on that, is that a legal defense for theft? Like if you leave,
No.
if you leave what if you leave the proper value?
No. You don't get to just take things that aren't for sale and be like, well, I know what the market bears for this, so I'm just going to give it to you. I need your car right now. Don't worry, I left you a check for $32,000 under your mat. I'm just going to go ahead and take it. Thanks. I blue booked it right before I took it. I'm going to need that. Thanks.
I mean, I feel like that should be allowed.
That's the life you want to live in? That's the world you want to live in?
If
everybody just takes everybody's shit?
If they pay fair value. Like, I mean, I shouldn't say this because somebody could do it, I guess. If I leave my house tomorrow and my car's gone and somebody has left me a check for, like, say, whatever, I don't know what it is, what the value is right now. It's like $18,000. So, like, somebody just leaves me $18,000.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, except that you can't buy a new car for the same type for that value, right? Because it's used, and you can't find a used car for that value. So now you're out of a car. So now you've just degraded your car, and now you got to buy some shittier car out there.
I don't foresee this happening often. I just think like if it happened, once every few months or something. Not to the same person. I'm saying like in general. It'd just be like, that's funny.
This is super down the rabbit hole, but I'll go ahead and talk about this. There is this emergency use defense that is allowed. You are, in effect, allowed to steal, trespass, convert property in an emergency situation if you pay the appropriate damages afterwards. There's a case that we learned in law school of basically this guy's in a storm. He's on a boat. There's, he needs to get off the fucking boat and he needs to get off the water. And he just goes and finds this dock, ties his boat next to the dock, ties it up and gets off the boat and to safety. When he comes back, his boat has just destroyed this person's dock. And the guy's like, hey, you fucked up a dock. The guy says, yeah, I'll pay you the value of the dock. He's like, no, fuck you. Like, I want more money than the dock. And the answer was that in an emergency situation, you can convert somebody's property for the life safety sort of issues, is so long as you pay the value for the damage that you did. But you don't have to pay above. You don't owe punitive damages for it.
How severe does the emergency have to be?
I know, life or death. I think it has to be life or death. This is like, I mean, it's an old ass case, and I can't even believe I remember it from law school. But yeah,
I love it.
I knew you would. You know what? I'm going to find this fucking case for you, and then I'm going to see how much this case has been cited in recent history to see when people have utilized this defense and see where we can go from here. See where you can go from here, Adam.
Yes, this is what we need the legal podcast for. This is good. Yeah. This is learning. I feel like this is a key step in my law school education from Justin.
I love Brady. I got to take a shit. I had to take your car. Life or death situation. Yeah.
Let's can we close on this one? And I sorry I had to walk off for 5 minutes there. I assume we haven't gotten into the question of the week, Adam, with Kwame Brown.
Not yet.
You ready? All right. So, Justin, if you haven't seen it in the audience, if you haven't seen it, Kwame Brown's been going. He's been flipping out on IG on former basketball players who dumped on the guy. He was the number one pick in 2001, and people have been making fun of him forever. And Matt Barnes got on him, and he went crazy on Matt Barnes. He just ripped the crap out of him. And he also referenced a Stephen A. Smith rant from 13 years ago where Stephen A. Smith just destroyed Kwame. And we just found this interesting, and we want to see if this is, I don't know if this is real, because clearly Kwame Brown wants to kick the crap out of people and was doing some of his research. So I hope this is in this cut.
Now that I got a platform, I'm going to use it for the right way. It's time to put respect in his name. And you that I'm disrespecting, that's because you the one that's a gatekeeper of disrespect. Stephen A., you bald forehead, people thinking you tough. Saying all kind of shit like, oh, you come see me. Well, let's go to Seattle and you sign a waiver. Well, Seattle, you ain't got to sign no waiver. Meet me in Seattle where you can have mutual combat and talk like that. I'll slap it'll look like you got a toupee on the front of your head, or how hard I'll slap the back of your head, motherfucker. The hell you talking about?
What the hell are you talking about? So obviously Adam and I, since we love street fights, not being in them, but judging them and talking about the legality, what is he talking about there with Seattle and mutual combat?
So it's funny. Yes, he's right. What do you think is he's right? In Washington and in Seattle, their mutual combat is illegal. But the way in which they define it is it's illegal if you injure somebody who's not in the fight or damage the property of somebody who's not in the fight, which by omission means, cool, then it's legal so long as you don't hurt somebody else or damage their shit. And it's happened in the past. There was a MMA fighter,
the superhero
Phoenix
guy,
Jones. Yeah, Phoenix Jones.
Yeah,
who got into a fight and they challenges. They tried to prosecute him, and he got off because the judge is like, "That's not what the fucking law says." Well, he didn't hurt anybody, not involved in the mutual combat, and he didn't damage any property. So hey, man, mad respect to Kwame Brown for knowing his mutual combat laws.
Do you think he knew it or he looked it up? Like that's what I was intrigued by.
Well, either way, right? I mean, how do you know it?
It's good either way. Yeah. No, I'm saying if like your whole life you're like, man, I know if I have to fight somebody, it's Seattle. Or did he, before he did this, he's like, I gotta fight. Where can you fight legally? And he Googled it and checked it out. Like, I would like to know which one it is. Either way, I'm incredibly impressed. I'm not downgrading how much I'm impressed by this. I'm just saying
Where's
I want
Kwame
to know.
from? Where's he from?
I think he lives in Georgia now because Matt Barnes just responded. Matt Barnes is like, hey, come on our podcast. We're coming to you in a month or so. So we're coming to Atlanta. So I think he lives in Georgia. I think that's where he was originally from.
Okay, because the thing that's funny about Seattle is the reason why they had their fight in Seattle is because Oregon specifically has a statute that says like no, mutual combat under any circumstances is not okay. So they go over the river and get into Seattle to have this fight under a municipal code that allows it. So if he was from the Northwest area, maybe it's more common knowledge in the Northwest, or maybe he knows somebody in the Northwest. I didn't know this when I lived in Oregon. I didn't know this until I looked it up on the Kwame Brown story. But maybe up there, they're like, oh, you want to fight? Let's go to Seattle. Like, yeah, let's go meet in Seattle. We'll do it.
So awesome. All right, Adam.
And I do wonder if Washington will think about changing their laws
now that it's been publicized.
Well, like I get the law and it's on. They've had to deal with it before. They've gone through it, but like, I don't think you as a state want to be known as a place where people are getting in fights on social media and like, hey, let's go meet in Washington and beat the hell out of each other. Like, I don't think that's what you want to be known as.
I think the opposite. I think we need to get a code in Vegas right now. Just let it go.
Mutual combat code.
Yeah, get them flying here. Spend your money here. They're fighting anyway.
Right. Beat the shit out of Batman on the strip. No problem. If he's in the fight, you're good. All right, guys. Justin, thanks for staying up late. Adam, I know you got a lot of work to do, so I appreciate it. So, and for the audience, we didn't give you much heads up on pushing it back, but we wanted to talk Golden Knights, so we wanted to give it a little more time. So